I went from experiencing no failure to nothing but failure. And it was a very hard time, to get through it. But I'll say the only way I was able to get through it was to just stay focused and not give up and not let it go. I could have easily have just thrown in a towel right there, and I'll be honest with you, I probably was pretty damn near close to it.
Welcome to the My Future Business Show, where we get you in front of your best audience and keep you there. Not only are we interviewing the biggest names in business to help you become even more successful, we're inviting you to book your spot on the show to help you grow your business. So at the end of the call, make sure you fill in the interview application form at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. Hi and welcome to the My Future Business Show. My name's Rick Nuske. It's a beautiful, wonderful sunny day here in Adelaide, South Australia. And I have on the line with me Daniel Ameduri, and he is from futuremoneytrends.com. How are you, Daniel?
I'm doing great. Yeah. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, welcome to the show. And we were talking a little bit earlier offline about your upcoming travels to Australia.
Yes, Adventures by Disney. I cannot recommend it more.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done a few different trips with them now, and it's the most amazing concierge service you've ever experienced.
Yeah, well, look, anything that's branded Disney, you're not likely to go too far wrong, are you?
No, that to tell you, when I didn't have kids, Disney was just whatever. But now that I have kids,
mm-hmm.
Not only do they over-deliver for the kids, but they really over-deliver for mom and dad as well.
You like to go traveling to places that have that concierge service that takes care of both sides. I know another place that I love going to is Fiji. They have a wonderful, I guess, children-oriented environment as well.
Yeah, I have not been there. There's so much earth to cover here, so
yeah,
it's definitely on my list, but it'll be when the kids are a little bit older.
Hey, I'd just love to talk a little bit, Daniel, about having this freedom to travel and how this come about for you. I know your background. I'd love to share it with the My Future Business audience. Can you share a little bit about yourself before we get into the nuts and bolts of the call?
Sure. I run futuremoneytrends.com and
mm-hmm.
several other publishing companies that focus on both the idea of saving money and paying off your debts, but also different ways that I have stumbled across investing and saving and doing different strategies. And what happened was, it was a hobby when I was a kid, and of course, I did well when I was young, blew up in 2008, and as I was rebuilding my wealth, I would, discover all kinds of great ideas, and then I got to share it with the Future Money Trends audience. So it's a hobby, it's a business, and it's selfish at the same time because I get to sit around and read about money or read about business. And if I think something's a great idea, not only do I get to implement it in my own life, but I have some, great group of people to share it with as well.
Yeah, that's great feedback. Thank you so much for sharing that with our audience. And in fact, our audience is focused on, we're talking about beginner entrepreneurs. Daniel, we're talking about existing small to medium-sized business owners. When they are starting out and they don't have a clue, I guess, is what you'd say about how to create an income for themselves and give themselves their own path to walk, what would you say to somebody in that stage?
Well, if they hadn't started the business yet, I would ask them what they did, and hopefully it's something that they're passionate about it, because ultimately, if you never want to work a day in your life, you've got to do what you love.
Mm.
But if you've got something where you've got a great job, what I've told people in the past, and it's worked out pretty well for a lot of them, is to try to make your current employer your first client. And oftentimes it actually can save the employer a lot of money by not having to be responsible for health care or retirement or anything. Now, they save money, but now it frees you up to not only work from home or work from your own office, but now you can start capturing other clients. So that would be the thing I would say to somebody who's not doing anything. Now, if you're a business owner and you're again, you mentioned that the person might be a new entrepreneur or a new business, let's say under a year old or not profitable,
mm-hmm.
I would say that you really have to have this focus on getting some warm referrals. And one thing I've done and I've advised others to do is to work for free or to work next to free for very credible clients. So, for example, if you owned a shop that, let's say, made signs or something, Go to Target, go to Walmart, go to the big behemoths, and underbid the job, or go to the local chamber of commerce and start underbidding. And I know initially you might be, well, I don't like taking a loss, or I don't want to do it unprofitable.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're really going after, all that unprofitability and that doing something for under what you deserve, is an investment into the business, because then you're going to be able to go to the clients you can capture, or the cold leads that you need to approach, and say, look, I work for Walmart, or one of my clients is Target, one of my clients is Coca-Cola. And, in the business world, no matter who you're dealing with, whether it's a Fortune 500 company or a small business, it's a matter of picking up the phone and talking to somebody. The person on the other line, whether they're running a billion-dollar company or just a guy that you're dealing with, a consumer. Look, they just want a friendly person to chat with, and they want to receive a great service if they need it. So ultimately, whether you're doing business to business or a business that services individual consumers, you really ultimately want to just be able to connect with them. And one of the best ways to connect with them is to show them what you've done for somebody else that they trust, ideally.
That's sage advice. And I keep thinking to myself, as you're saying that, this is about having a personal strategy to give yourself some credibility in the market, isn't it?
Absolutely. So, when I wanted credibility, I went to a multi-billion-dollar silver company, met with them, did everything I could to help them for free. And of course, it all fell in line because, I was able to deliver credibility. When, like, let's say the future money trends business, for example, when I wanted to expand the audience, I started doing free interviews for people with audiences. And that was able to help grow my own audience. So it's a big win-win.
Excuse me. I love the fact that you have such a wide array, let's say, of things that you're involved with. We're talking things about, finance. We're talking about wealth creation, passive income, cash flow, real estate. The whole box and dice is in there. You've experienced most of it. How, is it better for somebody when they're starting out and they do have that, that credibility in place now? They've done that hard work. Should they be focusing on getting involved with many things at once, or just start off slow and do one or two?
I can tell you from my own personal experience that if whatever you're making money at right now is really where you should focus your time and energy on. I have gotten distracted with so many things that have either lost me money or not made that much money. Now, I do enjoy investing in real estate. I enjoy a lot of things like everybody. But bottom line is, I'll never make as much money as with my business. And if I have available hours to spend more time on my business, I cannot find a better place to make money. And that works out for a lot of people, even if they had a job. Their job might make $5,000 a month. Meanwhile, they're spending so much time on these rental properties that are making them $200 a month. What else could you do for your job? What else, could you do in that line of work? Because a lot of times what your expertise is and what you're passionate about is really where you should be focused on, and where you can have your best return on investment. But of course, anybody who's listening to this podcast who's interested in business is naturally going to probably be interested in investing, and we can't help ourselves. We want to dabble into everything. So I'm not going to knock it, because I've done it too. But certainly, I'll give you an example. When I started to make a significant amount of money, I looked at buying other businesses that had nothing to do with my own business, had nothing to do with publishing or writing or even finance, because you're trying to accumulate and grow your wealth. But in the end, some of those investments worked, some of them didn't. But in the end, I would have been far better off just starting another newsletter.
Yeah. Just the thing about the My Future Business show is that the focus is on being completely transparent. And oftentimes I hear stories of, hey, look, I can do all these wonderful things. I can make a massive income in this very short amount of time. But I don't think that that's necessarily the reality of a success story, is it? There's always the downside to this. I'd love to explore one of the downsides that you've had, and how you would suggest to people how they should recover.
Well, I've had many downsides, just like many people who have had financial success, because I really believe that one of the things that separates the financially successful from the people who perhaps gave up,
Mm-hmm.
is that the successful just didn't stop. If you just stay the course, if you just keep trying, if you keep focusing. But on one of the uh, blow ups that I had was actually in the real estate market, and it was in 2007. I was on YouTube. That's how I started the Future Money Trends channel.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, I was on YouTube telling everybody to sell real estate and get out of their stocks because I saw a bubble. But I thought I was smart enough to go in and get as many more deals as I could before it blew up. And unfortunately, it did not work out for me at all. I bought about 8 houses, and I ended up foreclosing on essentially all of them. And it was a big fiasco, and it really damaged my life and damaged my confidence in myself, and almost to the point where for a year I was like in depression because I had lost all this amazing money I had, and just to put it in context for everybody, when I turned 18, it was the year 1999. And so when I bought my first house at 18
Mm-hmm.
in Southern California, I was buying at basically the start of what would become the greatest bull market and greatest bubble in U.S. real estate ever. So you can imagine, 2005, 2006, you have a young person in their 20s who's confused a bull market and a bubble for brains. So I went all in, thinking I was so smart because look what I had done since '99. And then I went from experiencing no failure to nothing but failure, and it was a very hard time, to get through it. But I'll say the only way I was able to get through it was to just stay focused and not give up and not let it go. I could have easily have just thrown in a towel right there, and I'll be honest with you, I probably was pretty damn near close to it.
Mm.
But I dusted myself off, and by 2009, I was back to buying real estate, and of course it made me a better investor. Oftentimes, for anybody, whether you're a business or investor, especially in business, the best part about mistakes in business is that it's a way to learn. And so don't ever be afraid to fail in business, because otherwise you'll never be a successful business. You have to fail a lot because you have to constantly be prodding and exploring to find a better way to reinvent the business and to over-deliver for the customer.
There's some things that are coming through to me as you say all of these things, and you epitomize the name of your business. If we look at hitting the bottom and then bouncing back to the top, very much like a trend line, you can see that that you've hit the bottom and you've been able to recover. And there's some golden insights into, hey, look, just don't give up if you do hit the bottom, because the bounce is often twice as high as the fall, isn't it?
It sure is. And just like you said, everybody's looking for that overnight success or that, real quick way to get money. Look, I started Future Money Trends in 2010 with my cousin, and it did very well. But really, in 2016 is when the income went parabolic.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because now we built enough audience. There was a lot of advertisement revenue coming in. Now, a lot of people who know me in 2016 or see my lifestyle, they might say, oh, it was an overnight success. Must have been real easy. They don't realize that, look, we had been working on the thing since 2010, and it goes back to as far as 2008 when I started the YouTube channel, which is initially how the blog came about.
Mm. I always have in the back of my mind, Daniel, when we're talking, to address some of the practical applications for our audience. Now, when you're talking about the nuts and bolts of how you actually make money in your ventures, do you rely a lot on mindset? What's your philosophy? Do you have systems? And could you share a little bit about those sides of your businesses with us?
So I'm not that organized, but I do have people who are organized. I have a personal assistant who's definitely organized and made a calendar and the whole thing and very organized. But as far as my mindset, I love and I'm a big believer in feeding the subconscious mind. I personally can tell you that it literally changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
I had a daily statement. I listened to Tony Robbins, and he said, lie to your subconscious mind, and I sure did. I told my subconscious mind every morning that I was a millionaire and that I was going to make $1 million in a year. And, I said that every morning, and sure enough, one day it happened, and then it was kind of weird. Then I was like, I wonder if I try it again. And I was like, okay, my new daily statement was I'll make $5 million in a year. And I did that, and I swear, I'm not even going to tell you what the new statement says, but it works. Like, just repeating yourself that, declaring who you are. I'm a successful business person. I am somebody who's going to over-deliver for my clients. I'm going to over-deliver for the customers. Just declaring integrity into your life, declaring success into your life. And then that third part of the declaration is taking that leap of faith. And, it's declaring something that may not technically be true at the moment, but that you believe it can be true. Because I'll tell you one thing. The hardest thing for me was to believe that I could make $1 million in a year or $1 million in a month. But once it happened, now it's easy, honestly. So it's weird how the mind works. And I actually just wrote about this last Sunday. If I told the audience, make an extra $5,000 this year, I bet you almost everybody could figure it out and they could make it happen. But at some point in time, make an extra 6,000, make an extra 60,000, make an extra 600,000. At some point in time, we definitely lose faith. And that is where that power comes from. Like, if you read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, or The Laws of Success by Napoleon Hill, or some of the Tony Robbins books, that is where that mindset comes in, really, that confidence and feeding that subconscious mind that, where you're going to make that leap of faith. Because honestly, I swear, and this will work for everybody, if you, whatever you've accomplished now, think back 3 years ago or 5 years ago, prior to accomplishing that task, how hard and how difficult you thought it was. But now if I asked you to repeat it, you'd be like, oh, it's no problem. I'll do it in less than 6 months.
Yeah, too easy. I have this recollection of a video I've recently watched, and it was a guy who was on stage, and he was saying, look, I want you to stand looking at me at the stage, and then spin around as far as you can and point as far in a clockwise fashion as you can go. And then later on, to give it summary, what happens, he said, well, now do this after thinking about how far you can go, and now actually do it with your eyes closed. And it turned out that they had 30, 40, almost 50% more extension around that 360 degrees than the first time they did it. And this all came back down to their ability to believe in themselves.
That's a powerful thing.
Absolutely. I'm looking at some of the information you have here, and I'd love to talk a little bit about how you actually run all of these businesses at once. Do you have systems that you use? Is it largely automated? Do you have a massive team of people helping you?
So I would say, it's not a massive team of people helping me, but I like to hire other businesses. So like, for example, I have 3 separate property management companies that manage my real estate portfolio. And those are the physical properties I own, not like private REITs or first trust deeds, notes, real estate mortgages. Every time I tell you something, I'm trying to think of, I want to make sure that it's the same in Australia, or at least I can describe it so you can make the connection. But, because I don't know what the different phrases are there for your finance. But, with the real estate portfolio, I have property managers. Now, those people have teams, right? So, one of the property management companies has probably 40, 50 people working there. So it's great that you can link up with another business to help you. My personal assistant runs her own business where she's the personal assistant. I'm probably one of her only clients, but, she's freed up to where she could do something, or if she needed to hire somebody, she could. I don't, everybody who works with me, and whether they're my business partner or they work and get paid by us, everybody we encourage to work on their own hours, work from home. We have people all over the world, literally, from Israel to California to Texas to Singapore. We have people all over the planet working for us, and most of them are like me. They're working from home, which is great. So that's how I manage things. I just look for good people to partner with, and that's even how I invest. So whether I'm investing or running a business, it's really a focus on the people. And I think whether you're looking at your personal life or your business, everything comes down to the people. I was with my kids a few months ago, and we were at Disney World in Orlando, Florida. And I asked my kids, and I was never been so happy as a father because I wanted them to recognize this, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
I told them, I said, what is different about Disney? And, I said, we've been to the other theme parks like Six Flags. We've been to SeaWorld. I said, what makes Disney special? And my 8-year-old son turned to me and said, Dad, it's their people. And I said, you're
Wow.
darn right. It is their people. And whether it's your personal life or your business, it's always going to come down to the people.
It's just so true, isn't it? If you go to a roller coaster park like Six Flags, you expect a certain experience, but you go to Disney and you expect to have a real experience, don't you?
You sure do, and it's the enthusiasm of the people that they hire. It's the training.
Mm-hmm.
It's ultimately and it's the same thing. If you're building a business and you're looking to hire somebody, it's worth paying a little more to hire the right person than to save money and to buy and to have somebody whose heart's not in it.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at one of the points here is how you go about building an exceptional business, regardless of it being a good time or a bad time. We've talked about some foundational things. We've talked about hiring the right people. When we come to making a choice to say, I'm going to pursue this, this is my business idea, is there a process somebody should follow to answer the question, honestly to themselves, this is actually a really good business idea or it's going to be a flop? Is there a process that you follow?
Well, I think for themselves, they should first start off with this: is this really something they want to do? Is this something that they're passionate about? I always use the Barnes and Noble bookstore analogy. If you had to go into the bookstore and read a section all day, where would you go?
Mm-hmm.
And that might be the spot where you want to start your business. That might be where you're interested in. So, is it a good business idea? Ultimately, it's going to come down to the market. And that's the discovery. But the thing is, you don't want to be fearful, even if you think the idea is bad,
Mm-hmm.
but you're very passionate about it. If you put it out on the market, let the market decide. I have no fear of failing, and I have failed many times, and I've started a lot of businesses over the past 6 or 7 years, and many of them have, they're not even, the websites aren't even around anymore. That's how bad I buried them. So, but, look, it doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is making money is as simple as this. You have to deliver value to other people.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
The more people you deliver value to, the more money you'll make. So ultimately you have to consider, when you're starting a business, before you can test the market by asking friends and family. You can start the business with maybe low inventory or a service and see if there's demand out there, because I have learned, you learn rather quickly. Within the first 30 days, you'll know if you have something.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder, given the day and age that we live in and the technological age that we're in, is there an expanding environment for people to truly start honest businesses online?
To me, I think it's better than ever. So first of all, to start a website or to use social networking. Amazon, my goodness, for delivery, PayPal for receiving payments. I think it's better than ever to start an online business. And a lot of websites like Google have made it even easier for income. To take my own website, Future Money Trends, for example, we have Google Ads on there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a multi-billion-dollar algorithm to know what a visitor is searching to have that perfect advertisement for them for another business.
Mm-hmm.
But Google does, and Google made it easy. It made it so easy that even a guy like I could figure it out to paste that code in
Mm-hmm.
on the banner and then let that run. So I think it's a great time to start businesses online, and I think it's easier than ever. So look, it's I think the opportunities to where everything from Apple Pay to all these different payment systems and the websites and the ease of it all, I think it's a better time to be an entrepreneur than ever.
It seems to me that, those with the mindset, and this is the takeaway for everybody who's listening, those with the mindset that they cannot achieve anything, either online or offline, well, you're right. And if you're not online nowadays, well, where are you essentially when it comes to trying to create a path, a career of your own, a business of your own? Daniel, I was just wondering, when people want to reach out to you, where would they find you?
If you guys go to futuremoneytrends.com, you guys can subscribe to my weekly wealth digest for free, but you can also email me at daniel@futuremoneytrends.com. My assistant goes through every single message and ultimately will make it to me, and I love to get back to people, and I even take a lot of phone calls. I'm happy to share my business experience with anybody who's made that decision, and I know it's not an easy decision because everybody kind of just goes with the flow and gets the 9-to-5 job. If you made that decision, man, I want to do everything I can to help you.
Well, look, that's great insights to your background, to your business, some really good tips and tricks, some things to consider that if you're listening to this, reach out to Daniel at futuremoneytrends.com. The links to his website and all the other relevant details will be below this call, and depending on where you are, you will be linked back to the My Future Business site. Daniel, thank you once again for coming onto the show today.
Thanks for having me on. It was a pleasure.
It's been fun having you on the call with us today. Now click on that big red subscribe button and make sure you leave us a comment, share us with your friends, and join the growing list of leading entrepreneurs who have enjoyed their time on the show at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews.